Oh, I'm a week early, but it's fine. It's fine. We are going to take a break from the whole show next week, but guess what, guys? We are still going to bless you with an interview. We're super
Yes.
freaking excited about it. Oh my goodness. What? ITCAF Podcast has an interview? Yes, that's right. They're going to be coming out next week with an amazing director. She is absolutely phenomenal. So stay tuned for that. But man, it's a pretty awesome show this week.
It really is. We've got a whole bunch of Marvel news. We've got some Yellowstone news. We've got some series coming. We've got some series going. We've got more moving of dates for movies. Just all kinds of stuff. And then, we've got an old toy from the 80s that's been trying to be a big movie player for like decades. Hasn't worked out so far, but that might be changing. What the fuck am I talking about? We're going to tell you.
Exactly. And then, of course, our top 5 segment this week, it is top 5 reboots that we think are better than the originals, which is very interesting because, I'm expecting to take some heat, man. I really am.
Yeah. And it's funny. This was a really good one by our producer, Jason, because if you guys are regular listeners to the show, we fucking hate reboots. We so we would rather see original content. So to have to pick a category with reboots that we actually not only like but think are better than the original, this one was an interesting topic. That's all I'm gonna say.
It is. Well, that's later on the show. Now, let's get a little crazy. Hello, everyone. So you want to start a podcast but have no idea where to start? Well, Crazy Ant Media is here to help you. We want to assist you finding your VFE. What's VFE, you ask? Well, that is your voice, your format, and your equipment. These are the 3 biggest essentials you need to start your podcast. All those hours watching nonstop YouTube videos or all those random website links, those are done. Just hop on a Zoom call with us and we'll talk about everything you need to know to create your own podcast and find your voice. Plus, we will send you home with a 12-page packet over everything we just discussed. It's very in-depth. It is definitely a must-need while trying to start your first podcast. Contact us at info@crazyantmedia.com today so that you can start finding your podcast voice for tomorrow. What's up, guys? Oh my goodness, episode 242. Woo! And your host with the most, myself, J-Lo Fantastic, and yourself, the mouth.
What's up? That's right,
we're already starting off a little crazy. It's fine.
Good.
But before getting into the rest of the show, of course, we have to tell you guys, be sure to leave a rating down below, comment, put the stars on the podcast platforms, because leaving a rating actually helps this podcast get seen by more people who are trying to break into the entertainment industry and those who just love entertainment news. We have everything for you. We are that one-stop shop. But man, oh man, of course, be sure to visit our website, www.crazyantmedia.com, where you can start rocking the latest and greatest Crazy Ant Media gear. You see the mouth himself rocking one right now. We got some displayed back here. And all of our Thanksgiving gear is available right now. But as soon as Black Friday comes, that Christmas gear is rolling out, man. We're super freaking excited about it. I mean, I don't know about you, but I've been listening to some Christmas music on the radio.
Dude, it's 24/7 now. My favorite station has made this. It's nothing but Christmas music. So hell yeah, I've been listening to Christmas music. And I'm just late because everybody I know's already got their tree up. Like, it's already full out decorated. I'm like,
right.
What happened? It used to be day after Thanksgiving. Now it's like first day of December or November. Boom, we're putting the tree up. I'm like, all right, shit.
Hey, sure. It seems like it comes quicker and quicker every year.
Yeah,
right?
But you know what? It's hard not to just be happy and have a great time when Christmas is around, right? The Christmas season, and it's just you feel good, you feel happy, and fuck. All right, let's do Christmas.
It is the best time of year. It is the best time of year. But we're jumping right into this thing. Man, oh man. We're starting off with Disney because there's no deaths. There's nothing crazy going on that we are going to report on. But this one is very exciting because I didn't really like the first season, but I'm actually excited about the second season because it looks really good. And I'm talking about Marvel Studios' freaking What If season 2, which is scheduled to premiere on Disney Plus on December 22nd. with a new episode airing each day for 9 days.
That's different.
Captain Carter, voiced by Haley Atwell, Black Widow by Lake Bell, Captain America by Josh Keaton, and The Watcher by Jeffrey Wright are among the key cast members reprising their roles in season 2. Now, season 1 did feature original MCU actors like Mark Ruffalo as the Hulk, and of course, Elizabeth Olsen as Scarlet Witch, Sebastian Stan as Bucky Barnes, Benedict Cumberbatch as Doctor Strange, Chris Hemsworth as Thor, and many others. What If was the first ever animated show from Marvel Studios, which saw its series debut back in August of 2021. Now, the show dives into a limitless possibilities that lie in an alternate timeline of the multiverse. For example, what if Ultron from the Avengers Age of Ultron succeeded in killing the entire planet? Or what if Thor never had Loki as a brother? These are questions that are answered in this series, which sees a whole bunch of theories brought to reality. Now, previously announced at the 2022 San Diego Comic-Con, Season 2 of What If features an episode set in the medieval times, which I'm very interested about because I love dragons and shit. An episode where Shang-Chi characters are pitted against Odin and Asgardian forces, and an episode where Valkyrie and Iron Man race through the streets of the planet Sekar from Thor Ragnarok. I think that one looks pretty interesting. I mean, it was very Mario Kart-esque, but like I said, I feel like a lot of the things they showed in this trailer for season 2 of What If made me more excited. I think, there's not as much pressure on this What If series this time around. I felt like at the beginning for season 1, there was a lot of pressure, but I think they kind of alleviated that a little bit.
No, totally. And the one I'm most excited about, because it just sounds awesome, is Shang-Chi pitted against Odin and the Asgardian boys. I mean, think about that. Shang-Chi is the dragons and all the kind of mystical oriental stuff with the dragons against the Vikings. And, it's going to be an epic episode. I'm all in on that one. All right, we're sticking with some Marvel news right now. And this one does not surprise me. Director Dustin Daniel Cretton has departed Avengers: The Kang Dynasty, an upcoming superhero adventure, of course, in Disney's Marvel Cinematic Universe. Now, Kang Dynasty, which is positioned as an Avengers Infinity War style pendulum team-up of this current Marvel era, was recently delayed and now isn't scheduled to open until May 1st of 2026. It will, of course, be succeeded by Avengers: Secret Wars on May 7th, 2027, which will conclude this stretch known as the Multiverse Saga of the long-running, interconnected franchise, which you guys know started off in Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, etc. Now, beyond its director, the state of Kang Dynasty has been subject of speculation. Jonathan Majors has already played multiple versions of the supervillain Kang on the Disney Plus series Loki and in this February's Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. But as you guys know, as we've been telling you, the actor's future with Marvel has been a question mark because he's currently awaiting trial for domestic abuse charges. Now, unlike the two-part saga of 2018's Infinity War and 2019's Endgame, which were filmed and directed back-to-back by the Russos, Cretton was only hired to direct the Kang Dynasty. So now this means there's no director on board yet for Secret Wars or Kang Dynasty. Cretton, don't worry, though, isn't permanently parting ways with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. He does remain on board to direct the sequel to the 2021 blockbuster Shang-Chi and the Legends of the Ten Rings, of course, of which he directed the first one. And remember, we told you way back, he's currently working on the Disney Plus series Wonder Man. So the TV series for which Cretton serves as director and executive producer was shut down by the strikes, but is expected to resume its filming. Now, this one makes total sense to me from the top. I love that he's staying and that he's going to do Shang-Chi, which was a huge hit, and that he's going to stick with Wonder Man. But walking away from the Kang Dynasty makes total sense because there are rumors that we keep hearing every day that they're going to pivot and go away from the Kang storyline because of what's happening with Jonathan Majors. Well, if I'm the director on a project and I don't even know if the project I'm directing is going to be the guy that you told me it was going to be or the story, that I'm walking away for just creative differences right there. That makes total sense. I mean, with a project being up in the air and you don't know if you're going to continue the storyline or not, I wouldn't want to be attached. So it just makes sense to me. Unfortunately, I do think this is where we're headed. I think that it's not going to go well for Jonathan Majors, and I think they are going to... Somebody's happy about it. Somebody is happy it's not going well for Jonathan Majors. It's always at the best times, I swear to God. But I think they have two options. Recast him and keep going, or pivot and go the other way. And since we've been seeing, and we've got some in the news today, some Fantastic Four stuff, I think the pivot is coming and we're going in the other direction. Which in my book only makes sense because if you guys know anything about Secret Wars, if you're a geek like me, Doctor Doom is the guy. So if we're headed eventually to the Secret Wars big ba-boom ending of all this thing, it only makes sense that we just start to pivot there anyway. So
yeah, I mean, it makes sense. It really does. Because I mean, my biggest fear is, reiterizing and retelling the trash that was beforehand and the two Fantastic Fours that came before us, or that came before Marvel Studios had their imprint on it. So that's my only worry. But I mean, you brought it up. Marvel Studios Fantastic Four, which will bring one of the most well-known superhero teams in all of comic books into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It is zeroing in on one of its main leads, aka Reed Richards, and Daddy himself, Pedro Pascal, is currently being eyed to play Daddy of the Fantastic Four, aka Mr. Fantastic. Of course, you all know he is a brilliant scientist who gains the ability to bend and stretch his body like rubber following the exposure to gamma rays during a scientific expedition to outer space. The role would continue Pascal's hot streak of iconic characters. His career first took off as the memorable turn as Prince Oberyn Martell on Game of Thrones. Remember when he got his eyes gouged out? And then he hit the new height when he was cast as the bounty hunter on The Mandalorian for the first Star Wars TV show and inaugural series for Disney Plus. Along with Susan Storm, casting for other two main characters in the title Correct, Susan's hot-headed brother Johnny Storm, aka Human Torch, and Reed's best friend Ben Grimm, aka The Thing, have yet to be announced. There's rumors everywhere on social media, though.
Oh yeah.
This is, of course, won't be the first glimpse of the Fantastic Four in the MCU. Of course, back in 2022, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, we saw John Krasinski appear in a brief cameo as an alternate universe version of Reed Richards before he gets ripped to shreds by Scarlet Witch.
Facts.
WandaVision director Matt Sackman will helm Fantastic Four. He took over the reins from John Watts, who directed all three Marvel and Sony Spider-Man movies with Tom Holland after Watts exited the film. Now, Fantastic Four is scheduled to open May 2nd of 2025. So that is very exciting. And I mean, we love Pedro Pascal. So, I mean, this guy has a huge slate coming out here soon in the next couple years. You got The Gladiator, the second one, you have The Last of Us, you have this one. Like, it's so crazy. Mandalorian season 4 just wrapped up. They're going into post. Like, this guy is very busy. So good for him, man. He deserves it.
Yeah, and you know what? This should put to rest the concerns that you have, because there's long been rumored that they were going to kind of go with a more non-traditional white as we see all the time, right? They're clearly, if we're going to get Vanessa Kirby and some of these rumors that they have for the casting, they are clearly going away from the stereotypical white family playing the Fantastic Four, which is good. Another thing that I read, which seems to be leaning heavily to be true, because especially if Shankman coming on because he directed WandaVision, which was an all-female led storyline, the rumor is they've been having trouble casting Reed because the actors weren't happy that apparently this version of the Fantastic Four is going to be focused on Sue and not Reed. It's going to be Sue-centric, meaning the story's all around her and they're just supporting her story. If that's true, then it's way different than any of the other Fantastic Four movies that we've seen. And it also opens the door. This is what I'm really excited about. If you're not a comic book geek, pay attention, because this could be very interesting. Sue has sort of kind of had affairs but not affairs with, or might have been in love with but maybe not in love with, Namor and Victor Von Doom. So if it's focused on Sue, are we going there? We've already seen Namor introduced. Doom is coming. Are we going to see that she's had a past with both of these fellas? And how's Reed going to be dealing with that? If this is the storyline that they're going to go with, or at least weave that storyline in, that could be getting really juicy really fast and so far away from the kind of other stories that we've seen with the Fantastic Four, which I'm all in. If any of that is true, I am all in on that. I think it would be brilliant, especially if you get Kirby to, I mean, she's a phenomenal actress. I know everybody wants, Emily Blunt, which I'd be fine with too, but Vanessa Kirby's fantastic also. And if we're going to go that route, just saying, going to be good.
Yeah.
Hey, guess who's back? Bob Iger. We're happy that Bob's back. It's been a little rough for coming back, but he's got some good news apparently. Bob revealed that the studio, and of course that means Walt Disney Studios, is working on a 4th Frozen movie. Yeah, you heard me right. A 4th Frozen movie in addition to the previously announced Frozen 3, which hasn't even been released yet. Already working on number 4. Now, Iger told Good Morning America, quote, Frozen 3 is in the works, and there might be a Frozen 4 in the works too, but I don't have much to say about those films right now. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Iger made the announcement from Disney's theme park in Hong Kong, where he's in town for the opening ceremony of World of Frozen. The attraction lets guests not only meet Olaf, Anna, and Elsa, but also dine at restaurants and walk through the streets that evoke the mystical world of Arendelle. Now, according to sources, director Jen Lee, who created the original Frozen and Frozen 2, is hard at work with her team at Disney Animation on not one, but actually both of those new movies. Now, this is where we know it's true, where Iger was doing the wink, wink, nudge, nudge, because the Frozen songwriters, Kristen Anderson Lopez and Robert Lopez, also recently revealed that they'll be back to pen new tunes for both, and they use the word both, of the follow-up films, basically confirming what Iger said, that there's 3 and 4 coming. Now, Frozen, as you guys know, and its 2019 sequel, Frozen 2, became huge smashing hits for Disney. The follow-up film remains the biggest animated release of all time with $1.45 billion. Though the original one wasn't so bad either, not quite the slouch. It had $1.3 billion. So if you're keeping track, boys and girls, that's $2.8 billion between the two of them. I'd say pretty good. Pretty good.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, people love this stuff. I mean, after the type of day that I've had, I mean, I might put on a Frozen or Frozen 2 after the show. I mean, those are just such good movies that I feel like Disney will never hit or miss with.
No.
I should say that. So, I mean, I'm excited for the next 2.
Me too. And by the way, just real quick, if you haven't watched it, guys and gals, check out the documentary about the making of Frozen that's on Disney Plus. That is a brilliant watch. Just to see all that goes into it and how the songs are written and the animation and the mix between live actors and digital, and like, it's freaking mind-blowing what it takes to make one of these movies. The idea that they're working on 2 of them back to back, I can't even imagine how many people are in that building with the big hat. Right. That's just crazy to me.
Exactly. Well, the trailer for the upcoming Percy Jackson and the Olympian series is set to premiere December 20th, excuse me. And it has been it will be released by Disney Plus. Now, in this trailer that you will watch after listening to the entire show, Percy, Grover, and Annabeth find their footing at Camp Half-Blood and fight mythical creatures along their quest. Now, of course, based on Rick Riordan's popular young adult book series of the same name, the show follows 12-year-old boy named, of course, Percy, who leads a seemingly normal life until he learns that he's a half-blood, half-human, and half-Greek god. The series stars Virginia Cole, Glenn Turman, Jason Mankiewicz, Megan Mullay, Tim Sharp, Jor Goodjohn, Charlie Bushnell, and Adam Copeland, who is Edge from the WWE.
Yes.
Guest stars include Lin-Manuel Miranda, Toby Stevens, Jay Duplass, Timothy Orbston, Lance Reddick, Olivia Morton, Suzanne Cryer, Jessica Parker Kennedy. Unlike the divisive film adaptations from the 2010s that strayed from the novels, Ridian has been closely involved, the writer has been closely involved with help make the Disney Plus series and serves as co-writer and executive producer. So that's always a good thing. I have high hopes for this one. I know Disney does too. I'm pretty sure it'll do pretty well, especially if it finds that young audience. I think that's really important.
Yeah, and it always helps to have the guy who created it as part of the process, because then you know they get it right. And I'm glad this story's finally being told, because I myself found out that I was half blood and half Greek god, and it's a hard transition, and I'm finally glad somebody's telling the story. People don't know the stress of it. Anyway, Emmy Award winner Jimmy Kimmel is back as the host for the upcoming 2024 Oscars ceremony, marking the late night stars, are you ready for it, 4th time fronting the show, which he's excited about because he said it was his dream to be a 14th host. So he's fantastic. I guess he's going to get it. Emmy nominee Molly McNierney will also return to serve as the executive producer for the second consecutive year in a row. Now, the Jimmy Kimmel Live host previously led the 2017, 2018, and 2023 telecasts. The 2017 ceremony produced the now infamous La La Land and Moonlight Best Picture screw-up. Kimmel will now sit alongside other 4 Peters, such as Whoopi Goldberg and Jack Lemmon. The only people to host more times are Johnny Carson, who hosted it 5 times, Billy Crystal, who hosted it 9 times, and Bob Hope, who hosted it 11 times. Now, the 2023 Oscars rating saw a bump in viewership, attracting an average audience of 18.8 total million viewers. That's up 13% from the previous figures. It outperformed the 2023 Grammys and Emmys by more than double. The ceremony earned a 4.0 ratings in the 18 to 49 key demo, pushing it 3 highs in both total viewers and demo, up 5% since 2020. So this only makes sense that they're bringing him back. The year's award-contending films offer treasure trove of populist titles, most notably Warner Brothers' Barbie and Universal Pictures' Oppenheimer. Those 2 movies were the stars of Barbenheimer's summer craze that took over the movie theaters. Both are expected to be heavy favorites in the Best Picture race, along acclaimed movies such as American Fiction, Killers of the Flower Moon, Maestro, and Poor Things. Are you ready? The 96 Oscars will be held at the Dolby Theater on Sunday, March 10th. Of next year. So that's exciting. I'm happy for him. I think, he's great. I've always thought he's done a good job. My personal favorite, and just because I guess I'm a little older, not old enough for Bob Hope, but old enough for Billy Crystal. I've always thought Billy Crystal had the best hosting jobs when he does the opening singing for all the nominees of the Best Pay. I loved him. I think he's fantastic, but I do like Jimmy Kimmel. I think he's done a good job.
Yeah, I was just about to say, I think since my time with starting to watch the Oscars, Jimmy Kimmel has been by far my favorite. Better than obviously the year we went without a host, or
oh my God, that was so bad.
That was pretty rough.
Or remember when it was multiple? Like there was like 5 or 6 different. Oh, it's so bad.
Yeah, that was rough. But yeah, kudos to Jimmy. I mean, he definitely deserves it. I could see him getting further up there, maybe even passing Carson. And I don't know about 11. That would be interesting if he goes all the way to 11 or 12. But yeah. I mean, I do think that he'll probably host at least one more time.
I think so.
So we'll see. But after the historically long duel, WGA and SAG-AFTRA strikes came to a resolution. ABC announced the return of scripted series with its mid-season premiere schedule, revealing premiere dates officially set for a new season of Abbott Elementary, The Conners, and 911. Now, Abbott Elementary is scheduled to make its season 3 premiere with an hour-long special debut episode on February 7th. The telecast will be preceded by new episodes of The Conners and Not Dead Yet. Now, the unscripted courtroom comedy Judge Steve Harvey rounds out the Wednesday night lineup. Procedural dramas Will Trent, The Rookie, and The Good Doctor will return new seasons on February 20th. Now, 911 will officially make its ABC debut on March 14th after being canceled, if you guys remember, by Fox back in May. Remember, we told you guys about that, but being picked up somewhere else. The premiere will be followed by new episodes of Grey's Anatomy and Station 19. Now, what about The Bachelor? Calm down. It's there too. The Bachelor kicks off the slate of premieres with a new season on January 22nd, as viewers will follow Joey Gazadi on his journey to find love. The episode will be followed by ABC's new true crime series, 2020. The limited series will consist of 8 episodes and promises to explore some of the most shocking love crimes of all time, per ABC, of course. The previously announced series picked up High Potential, which was previously scheduled to join ABC's lineup for the 2023-2024 season, but will now debut during the 2024-2025 broadcast season. Additional programming will be announced in the upcoming weeks, and you guys know that us here at ITCAFpodcast will keep you updated with everything. But I know people are excited to see the main shows coming back, as you could say.
Yeah,
so
the only thing...
The prime time.
Oh, for sure. And the only thing that I was kind of alarmed about when you were going through that is I'm looking at the calendar and I'm looking at the date, and that means the Good Doctor's switching nights. It's going to Tuesday. And typically when a show switches nights, it normally means that it's starting to drop or that they're losing favor of it. Or I hope that is seriously not the case, because it's doing really well in the ratings still. And anytime you switch a night or a time, it messes with viewers and then it starts to fuck with the ratings. So I hope we don't see that, because eventually, guys and gals, you're going to need a Grey's Anatomy replacement, and the Good Doctor is still steaming. It's still rolling. So don't fuck it up. That's all I'm saying. Speaking of Grey's Anatomy and Station 19, though, you might not be so happy to hear this one either, guys, because there's apparently some changes going up. The new scheduling setup that we just told you about, apparently not very conducive to continuous storylines and crossovers. As you guys know, Krista Vernoff is leaving. She's departing both shows at the end of last season, and each series is getting a new showrunner. The 2 shows' storytelling is expected to diverge and become more independent. For instance, only one crossover is currently planned for the upcoming abbreviated season, in which Grey's Anatomy and Station 19 are expected to only do 10 episodes each due to the strike. Now, going forward, it was made clear that Station 19 is expected to be less reliant upon Grey's Anatomy and stand on its own, focused on its own evolution. So there you go. I guess that whoever they've decided, and I'm sure we'll tell you when we get a name, the new showrunner is like, you know what? We don't need Grey's. We are our own show. We're going to start doing our own shit. So that'll be very interesting to see. What are we saying? Are we saying we're starting to cut ties because we feel like we're going to finally start heading towards the end of Grey's? Or, you know, I don't know. But if you're a big Grey's fan and you love the crossovers and you love the co-storylines, and what does that mean for Bailey and her husband? I mean, are we not going to get it? I mean, is something happening to that relationship? I don't know.
Yeah,
you know more than me. But
I feel like, you know, with there not being as many crossovers, it's good not to have a crutch, because I feel like, you know, last season before the strikes, like it was a little intense. But I just want to say, because we never said anything about it. I'm sorry from the bottom of my heart. But sexiest man alive. We never said anything about it. Patrick Dempsey, Nick Dreamy, he won sexiest man alive. Not a finalist, but the sexiest man alive.
Finally.
If you guys don't know, this is his man crush. He deserves it. He deserves it 10 times over. So I'm very happy for him. But I mean, you know, talking about Grey's Anatomy, I was just like, you know, I almost made it my wallpaper, man.
I literally think you would leave my daughter at the aisle if Patrick Dempsey showed up and asked you to marry him instead. I really think...
I mean, we don't know until it happens.
It's hard to resist the hair. I get it. It's like if the hair comes a call and you go. I listen, man. No judgment here.
Everybody be sure to check out Thanksgiving, because that's his new movie coming out. Be sure to check out Thanksgiving. Well, FX has ordered a 3rd season of Welcome to Wrexham.
Yeah.
Now, this is the 4th installment for its scheduled for a spring 2024 premiere. Now, of course, this one is starring and executive produced by Rob McKinney and Ryan Reynolds. Remember, this is the docuseries that follows the two stars' efforts to return Wrexham AFC, one of the oldest and most storied football teams in history, to glory. Now, Reynolds and McKinney are teaming up to purchase their fifth tier Red Dragons. They did purchase them in 2020 with the intention of building an underdog story that the world could get behind. Now, after a painful elimination in the playoffs, season 2 continues to follow the club as they look to get promoted out of the National League and make their triumphant return to the English Football League. The season 2 finale aired earlier this week, but it only makes sense. I mean, with the popularity of those two guys. And I mean, it's just such a cool experience to see, actors and personalities being entrepreneurs, because we know they are. We all know they are doing their own thing, either beauty line or skincare or purchasing soccer teams. But to actually see them and get more personality out of them and see them do something that they really care about, I think is special. I think that's why the show's going over so well.
Me too. And, I've never always been like a big soccer fan or whatever, but I'm learning a lot about soccer. Like, I had no idea that these teams, like, you have to win. Or unlike the NFL or something, you are literally the whole team, not players. The whole team is booted to the minor league, and you got to earn your way back up into the majors. Like, I had no idea it was like that. Like literal. That's why the fans are so fanatic. Like, their entire economy of like the sports and all that, they get booted. They're like, wait a minute. We need you to get back into the big leagues. And so I'm learning a lot about soccer through this show and through them. So that's kind of exciting because, I feel like because of their personality, they might be drawing people like myself that maybe weren't big into the sport, but now are learning and finding out, oh, okay, I didn't know some stuff. So that's great. I love that. All right, jumping over quickly to Fox, we told you about the fate of 911, the main 911, going over to ABC and when that's going to debut, which is pretty quickly. We're going to see that soon. We will not be seeing 911 Lone Star very soon. That show, season 5, will not return to Fox until the fall of next year. Now, according to an individual with knowledge of the situation, the 5th season of the spin-off series will consist of 12 episodes, and Fox plans on using Lone Star, which is, by the way, its highest rated drama, to launch its new shows, Doc and Rescue High Surf, both of which were ordered earlier this year, but have yet to begin production. Now, it is the latest production impacted by the writers and actors strikes that shut down Hollywood for much of the year, as you guys know. With shows scrambling to get back up and running now that both strikes are settled, a number of series are being pushed to later dates. Most recently, CBS announced their premiere dates for several of their scripted shows. We just told you about ABC's, and we will be jumping up in a minute here and telling you about CBS's. So it's affected everything, but I'm a huge 911 Lone Star fan, and it kind of sucks that I have to wait until next fall to see it, but it makes sense. I mean, whenever it's coming back, but we all know this is the oldest gimmick. You take your highest rated show and you debut new shows behind it because you hope that the viewers stay and watch the new stuff. So it only makes sense if they're going to try to drop these 2 new shows in the fall. They want their big boy to push it, and, it is what it is. Got to wait a little bit longer, but I'm here for it. I'll be waiting. I'll be
there for you.
I'll be there for you. That's right.
Heading over to Warner Brothers Discovery, Warner Brothers Motion Picture Group has entered into a new co-financing pact with Domain Capital, a multi-year agreement that will focus on bolstering the studio's theatrical slate. Now, last year, the Atlanta-based Domain announced a $700 million fund dedicated to entertainment and media. The co-financing arrangement is already in effect at Warner Brothers, kicking off with participation in the company's record-breaking hit Barbie, which has earned over $1.4 billion at the global box office, of course. The deal will extend to the other Warner Brothers releases this year, including Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, Timothée Chalamet's Wonka, and Oprah Winfrey's produced movie musical, The Color Purple. Motion Picture Group co-CEOs and co-chairs Mike DeLuca and Pamela Abdi said they were pleased to have this co-financing agreement with Domain Capital in place, given their deep knowledge of the entertainment space, and as we continue to build on the studio's 100-year commitment to theatrical releases. So that's really exciting. I mean, you're always looking for different people to finance and distribute, so it's good.
Yeah, I bought everything in that story until they said they're committed to staying with Warner Brothers' 100 years of theatrical releases. Why? I'll tell you. We've got a story coming up, and I'll tell you exactly what I mean by that. Dennis Villeneuve's Dune Part 2. Guess what, guys and gals? Moving again. It's moving again. It's moving around the release calendar, although this time it's actually being pushed up instead of pushed back. Warner Brothers and the Legendary confirm that the space epic sequel will open nationwide now on March 1st. The new date is 2 weeks earlier than the March 15th date that Warner Brothers set in August when it was moved. Dune Part 2, out of the 23 amid the strikes. Now, the sequel was originally set to open on November 3rd. The official Dune Part 2 synopsis from Warner Brothers, in case you guys didn't have a clue. This is the follow-up film, and it will explore the mythic journey of Paul Atreides as he unites with Shani and the Freeman while on a warpath of revenge against the conspirators who destroyed his family. Facing a choice between the love of his life and the fate of the known universe, he endeavors to prevent a terrible future that only he can foresee. I'm always picking Zendaya.
Always.
If those are my choices, I'm always going with Zendaya. That's all I'm saying, just
For sure. Well, Anna Nogoria is set to write Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, which is being developed by DC Studios. Now, the film centering on Superman's cousin, Kara Zor-El, and her superdog Krypto has yet to attach a director. An actor and playwright, Nogueira, had been hired by Warner Brothers to write Supergirl movie in 2022. Now, the original project was conceived as a spinoff of The Flash, which featured Sasha Calle as the character. I mean, which she did pretty well.
She did.
However, the project was scrapped when James Gunn and Peter Safran took over leadership on the upcoming slate of DC comic books adaptations. Now, Gunn and Safran revealed that Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow would be part of the DC Studios' first lineup of features, which will reboot the continually beginning with Gunn's Superman Legacy in 2025. Now, describing the upcoming Supergirl film, Gunn cited Tom King's comics as inspiration and called the new film character a very different type of Supergirl and much more hardcore. So that's exciting.
Yeah.
We see the difference between Superman, who was sent to Earth and raised by loving parents from the time he was an infant, versus Supergirl, who was raised on a rock chip off of Krypton, and watched everyone around her die and be killed in terrible ways for the first 14 years of her life. So that will be interesting. It'll be interesting to see the age of Supergirl when they finally get her on screen. So I'm excited for it, though. Like I said, I'm behind Gunn and Safran.
I am too, but you know what? I mean, remember we reported on a few shows back that they were talking to Sasha Calle about, coming on. So, I mean, I don't know if they want to give her the long blonde hair or keep her with the short, but her version in Flash was kind of a hardcore version who was tortured and did not have the happy life. She kind of fits what they're talking about. So I think she'd be great. If you want to put the blonde wig on her and change her up from how she looked in Flash, okay. But I think that's your woman to pull off this Supergirl. I mean, the other question I have is James Gunn made it perfectly clear that Krypto would be in Superman Legacy. Now he's also going to be in Supergirl?
Right.
Like, how's that going to happen? Is he just, okay, your life has fucking sucked and mine has been great. Take my dog. I mean, why is Krypto switching? I don't fucking understand. Let's clarify that, James Gunn. Why is he giving away Krypto to Supergirl? I just need to know. I'm also excited about this one. I love this show. It is so great, and I'm super pumped for it. Max has renewed the raunchy, violent animated series Harley Quinn for Season 5. Just a couple of months, of course, after Season 4 finished up its run. Now, the animated DC show, starring, of course, the one and only lovely Kaylee Cuoco as Harley Quinn and Lake Bell as Poison Ivy, has proven to be a massive hit for Max, and it even has its own spin-off, Kite Man. Hell yeah. That's coming up in 2024. Now, in Season 4, as you guys know, Harley began working with the Bat family, including Robin, Nightwing, and Batgirl, while Ivy assumed her new role as the CEO of the Legion of Doom. Now, as Harley started to embrace her more heroic endeavors, she and Ivy butted heads in their relationship. By the end, the two resolved their differences and teamed up with Batgirl and Catwoman to form the Gotham City Sirens in the finale. All of great stuff. All of it. They are staying, what I'm really liking about this, they are staying so true to the comic book storylines, but then also deviating and being original while maintaining the content, which I love. They're doing a spectacular job. This is a great show. If you guys, it's clearly adult. Don't have your kids watching this show. But it's a really well done animated series. And I think if you're going to, have a Harley Quinn series that's not Arlene Sorkin and, the original from Batman the Animated, this is the perfect way to do it, and they're doing it great.
Oh, completely agree, man. Completely agree. It's awesome to see things getting renewed on a streaming service,
yes,
right?
Yeah.
Let's be honest about it. Well, Coyote versus Acme is officially on the market. And days after, I should say, Warner Brothers announced that it'd be shelving the completed Looney Tunes-inspired film as a $30 million tax write-off. The studio is letting the filmmakers shop Coyote and Acme to other distributors. Puck, a newsletter covering the industry, and Deadline first reported that screenings are being set up for Amazon Prime Video, Apple, and Netflix to acquire the movie, which finished up filming in 2022 and was intended to play in theaters. Amazon and Netflix were active buyers during the pandemic, as traditional studios were siphoning off films for extra cash. But nothing has been ironed out for this one in particular. Sources familiar with the negotiations say that the movie hasn't even been screened yet. In these instances, rights go to the highest bidder. It's unclear if another company would want to buy the movie that Warner Brothers deemed unworthy to release on the big or small screen. But streaming services always need fresh content, especially of the family-friendly variety, to keep subscribers going. Coyote and Acme, a $70 million live-action animation hybrid starring John Cena and Lana Condor, is the third movie in the 2 years that Warner Brothers has axed for tax incentives. A similar situation transpired a little over a year ago when Warner Brothers discarded the $90 million budgeted DC adventure Batgirl and the kid-friendly Scoob Holiday Haunt. The studio position that decided as a one-time tax write-off, which made the news of Coyote and Acme even more unsettling to the creative community. All three films were greenlit under the studio's former boss, Jason Kilar, and two of them, Batgirl and Scoob, were made for HBO Max. Now, Kilar's successor, Warner Brothers Discovery CEO David Zaslav, has shifted the studio's priorities back to theatrical, and a spokesperson said these movies didn't fit the new creative direction of the company. But we know that creatives all around the world are not taking meetings with Warner Brothers because they don't want to put in all this time and effort and then have their film shelved. And I don't blame them for that.
Yeah.
So it's turning in to be a bad reputation for Warner Brothers.
No, yeah, that's exactly, I'm glad you brought it up because it's exactly where I was going with it. This movie was shelved, guys. It was getting the tax write-off. And the day after he made that decision, like Logan said, the company received numerous letters from agents saying that meetings that were set up with their people were no longer going to happen because they were walking away from deals. They did not want to take meetings anymore with Zaslav because of this, which, like you said, totally makes sense. If I'm a creator and he makes a commitment and I make a full fucking movie and it's all done and ready to go and then nobody's gonna fucking see it, I'm not coming there to make my movie. Fuck that. And I'm hoping that they switch course and do this for Batgirl. If you're going to shop it around, fucking shop Batgirl around too. The interest is there. They could probably sell the shit. That new Batman series that they decided to sell off, that went to Amazon, right? So fuck, if Amazon's buying up the Batman stuff, fucking bring it over to Amazon. Let them take Batgirl. I guarantee Amazon would make a fucking boatload off of Batgirl because people really wanted to see that shit. So yeah. And I'm iffy. Do we want to sell our series to fucking Max? I don't know. Exactly. I mean, because it might never see the light of fucking day. I'd rather go with a studio that gives us a little less money or isn't, kind of, as long as it's seen, because it just, fuck, man. I don't like Zaslav. Zaslav is not a fucking movie guy. He's just a fucking money guy. And you got to have the passion. I get it. It's a it's a profit company. It's not a not-for-profit. You got to make money, and I totally understand that. But you also have to fucking have a passion for the movies and respect the business. I mean, it's just, and he's not. He's a fuck him. Hey, jumping over to the Paramount. I've told you before, guys, I'm not the kind to kiss and tell. But I'm going to tell you this. The Fall Guy is now crash landing in theaters on May 3rd, 2024. After Deadpool 3, of course, vacated the release slot amid the work stoppage caused by the strikes. Now, Universal Pictures was originally set, as we told you, to release David Leitch's action thriller starring Ryan Gosling and Emily Blunt on March 1st, 2024. Based on Glenn A. Larson's 1980s television series of the same name, of which I just gave you a little piece of the theme song, the film stars Gosling as Colt Seavers, a stuntman on the hunt for the missing movie star he once doubled for. Blunt stars as Gosling's director and ex-girlfriend Jodie Moreno, while Aaron Taylor Johnson plays AWOL star Tom Ryder. Now, Stephanie Sue, Winston Duke, Hannah Waddingham, and Teresa Palmer round out the cast for this film. The original television series, which I loved as a kid, The Fall Guy, ran on ABC from 81 to 86, starred the Bionic Man himself, Lee Majors, as Colt, and the lovely Heather Thomas, of which I had both posters in the bikinis on my wall, as Jodie. The show followed Colt as a stuntman by day, bounty hunter by night, who used his skills in auto stunts to capture criminals. Majors, and this is what makes me really happy, as we told you guys last week when we debuted the trailer, he is set to make an appearance in the film, which if you were going to go there, you have to have him in it. The only way you shouldn't is if he was dead. He's not, so he's in it, and that's good, because I'd have been pissed. Right?
I mean, I know you're excited about it. It did look really good.
It does look really good.
About it too. And I told myself, man, I need to watch more Ryan Gosling movies because he's a phenomenal actor.
And Emily Blunt. I was thinking the same thing about Emily Blunt. Where have I been on the Emily Blunt train? I mean, I've watched a couple things here or there, but I want to go back and watch all her shit now. Yeah. She's just brilliant. I don't know how she fell under my radar. Just fuck, man. She's awesome.
Completely agree. Well, Yellowstone is officially gearing up to go back into production. The mega hit Paramount Network's show will resume production on the final episodes of the fifth and final season in late spring of 2024. This is the latest series to announce a return to production, with many scrambling to get back to work now that the dual writers and actor strikes that had shut down Hollywood for months have been resolved. Many shows, especially on the broadcast side, are getting into shooting new seasons in the upcoming weeks to salvage the spring network schedules. It was previously announced that the final episodes of Yellowstone are slated to debut in November of 2024, with Paramount greenlighting two more new shows: the prequel 1944 and the contemporary series currently titled 2024. Now, of course, reruns of Yellowstone are also currently airing on CBS. It was also announced in May that Taylor Sheridan's mega hit Paramount Network series Yellowstone would be coming to an end with this fifth season. Now, Paramount had announced prior to that fifth season that it would be split into two parts as well. The first 8 episodes aired back in November of 2022 through January of 2023, but 1994 is the latest in a string of Yellowstone prequels that Sheridan has created for Paramount under his expansive overall deal. He has previously launched both 1883 and 1923 on Paramount Plus, which each series exploring the lives of the Duttons in the title year. Now, no plot details are available for 2024 yet, other than it is expected to begin airing following the conclusion of the original flagship, Yellowstone. Now, according to an individual with knowledge of the series, it will feature new cast members and locations with some crossover characters as well. So, you're hoping to see Rip and Beth. I'm hoping that they will pop up in 2024 or the sixes. So, we shall see.
Yeah, I can't believe that this, like, it might as well have showed on Netflix. Fucking
Right.
2 full years between the first half and the second half that we're going to see. With 2
Literally.
full years. That's fucking crazy. I'm going to have to remind me a year and a half from now to go back and watch the first 8 episodes of season 5 so that I can be caught up again. I mean,
so you
that's
can
fucking,
remember what happened.
Yeah, I mean, that's fucking crazy, man. That's just, Hey, you know what's not crazy? And I'm fucking in love with this. I'm so happy to see this. 8.5 years after the man, the myth, the legend himself, David Letterman, signed off as host of CBS's The Late Show, he will be returning to the historic Ed Sullivan Theater. He will appear on the show Monday, November 30th, to be interviewed by his successor, Stephen Colbert, for the first time ever. Now, The Late Show with David Letterman on CBS launched, of course, back in 1993, following Letterman's highly publicized exit from NBC. He welcomed Colbert on the show in April of 2015 after the former Colbert Report personality had been named as the new Late Show host. Now, since leaving The Late Show in May of 2015, after 23 years, Letterman has been hosting his Netflix interview series, My Next Guest Needs No Introduction. I love this. Every time he comes back, he always has fun. He always, expect him to poke fun at CBS, expect him to take some jabs. I mean, even though he walked away, unlike NBC where he did not walk away. But I think he's going to have fun, and I think he'll have some fun with Colbert. I'm a huge all-in. I mean, if anybody my age, if you weren't, you're full of shit. I'm all in on David Letterman. I just think he's brilliant. He's always been my favorite late night guy. I love him, man. I'm super glad that any chance I can see him on TV again, I'm all in, man.
Oh yeah, for sure. Everybody that I talk to are Team Letterman over Leno. I mean, that's just everybody.
Hell yes. Hell yes.
But the Golden Globes have found a new TV home for 2024.
Shit,
at least.
Really?
They'll be airing on CBS.
Damn.
The 81st edition of the award show will air January 7th on the broadcast network, immediately after an NFL and CBS doubleheader. The show will also stream on Paramount Plus and be available on the CBS app as part of the new deal between CBS and the Golden Globes. The 3-hour show will air live from 8 to 11 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 to 8 Pacific stations. Stations in the Pacific time zone that air the event live will also rebroadcast the entire telecast and primetime immediately following the live presentation. Now, according to sources, CBS had initially passed on picking up the Globes, as had Amazon Prime Video and Netflix, which is focused this year on its new deal to televise the SAG Awards. Others were believed that to have offered lowball licensing fees. NBC, meanwhile, hadn't shut the door all the way, bringing the Globes back, but already had an NFL Sunday night football game on January 7th, the night that the Globes had confirmed for the 2024 ceremony. Hey, man, I'm sure they're just happy to actually have it on TV.
So, without doubt.
There you go.
Without doubt. And good luck, CBS, because, I mean, it seems like every year there's some sort of controversy inside the Golden Globes. I mean, so I don't even know if I'd have picked that up. Smartly, I think the other one stayed away from it. That should have been like an online streaming thing. I don't know. Just my opinion.
Right.
Okay, so I promised you a little bit ago that we would tell you about the CBS's shows and what they're doing with their lineup, what's coming, what's going, etc. And like I mentioned, you always use your big hit show to launch new shows. Well, it's a tradition in television. If you get the Super Bowl, you use the Super Bowl to launch your new shows, and that's exactly what CBS is planning on doing because they have the big game this year. CBS will take full advantage of this year's Super Bowl to launch its truncated 2023-2024 primetime lineup. the week of February 12th. So that's the week that most of its major series will return, with new episodes including the NCIS and FBI franchises, as well as the network's returning comedies like Not As Young As He Used to Be and Sheldon. Or the Not As Young As He Used to Be, Sheldon. That makes for a shortened 3.5-month TV season, which means that most of CBS's series this season are expected to be capped at about 10 to 13 episodes, airing from mid-February to May. Now, CBS's February 2024 lineup is nearly identical to the one the network announced in May for September of last year, when it began and was still optimistic that the strikes might be over and it would be all original episodes in the fall, which we know did not happen. Now, there's two exceptions to that, though, two notable exceptions. The new legal drama Matlock, starring Kathy Bates and our buddy Jason Ritter, and comedy Papa's House, starring Damon Wayans and Damon Wayans Jr., those have both been pushed to the 2024-2025 TV season. Meanwhile, the plan to premiere the new Justin Hartley drama Tracker behind the Super Bowl on February 11th, that continues to stay in place. They're still planning on doing that. That episode will get an encore run on Thursday, February 15th, followed by episode 2 in its regular time period on Sunday, February 18th at 9 p.m. Eastern. CBS's only other new scripted series this season, the one I am super excited about, the Good Wife, Good Fight spinoff Elsbeth, starring the one and only Carrie Preston, who I just love, will premiere Thursday, February 29th at 10 p.m. Eastern after 2 weeks of Tracker repeats in that slot. Now, like Logan said about The Bachelor and all that, don't worry, CBS's reality shows, we got you covered too. Survivor and The Amazing Race, CBS will debut those shows a bit later in order to have uninterrupted originals. That's good, because we hate when they come and then you have to wait weeks and then they come back. Uninterrupted originals for the remainder of the season. Survivor is back on Wednesday, February 28th with a 2-hour episode and then another 2-hour edition on March 6th. On March 13th, Survivor returns to 90 minutes, while a new season of The Amazing Race is also back with 90-minute episodes at 9:30 p.m. Now, CBS plans to market the return of the originals via the NFL playoff games and the Grammy Awards on February 4th, in addition to the Super Bowl on February 11th. Did you get all that? So basically, right. You're going to get 10 to 13 episodes of all your favorite shows, everything but Matlock and the Damon Wayans show will be early. Those are being pushed back. So there you go. That's kind of exciting. I'm fine with 10 or 13. We've been so conditioned now with streaming, and that's what you basically get with streaming series. So
yeah, exactly, man. Exactly. Well, I mean, you brought it up. Speaking of young Sheldon, the series will finally end its run at CBS with its upcoming 7th season.
Wow.
The Big Bang Theory prequel series is set to return on February 15th with a 1-hour season finale, our series finale, set to air on May 16th. The season will be shorter than those before it due to the nature of the 2023-2024 scripted broadcast season, caused, of course, by the writers and actors strike that shut down Hollywood production for nearly 6 months. Now, Young Sheldon originally premiered back in 2017, while Big Bang Theory wrapped up its run in 2020 after launching back in 2007. Per CBS, Young Sheldon drew an estimate of 11 million viewers per episode in Live Plus 35 ratings and a multi-platform viewing. So it was always very popular. I think they put that one up on a pedestal once Big Bang went off the air. But now it's going away. So what's going to be next, CBS? What's going to be next?
Yep. Well, and this one you knew this one had a shelf life because, I mean, he can't get to the age of the original Sheldon. You knew this one had to have a limited shelf life because, I mean, we got grown-up Sheldon already, so, But you ask, what's next? Well, what's next is another one coming to its conclusion at the end of Season 7, and I'm talking about SEAL Team, which will do just that, conclude after its upcoming Season 7, this one on Paramount+. The military drama series was renewed for the 7th season back in January. Production on the final season is slated to begin next month. No premiere date set, though, but Season 7 will launch some point in 2024. Now, as as you guys know, the show aired its first 4 seasons on CBS before moving over to Paramount Plus, beginning with season 5. Now, as part of the send-off for the show's final season, Paramount Plus will be taking the show on the road and partnering with organizations that benefit U.S. veterans. Further details of that we'll give you when we find out on later shows. So that's really cool. I mean, that's kind of a nice way to send them off.
That is really cool, and I've always really liked the main guy. Always forget his name, but he was, of course, in Bones and Charmed. And
Yep. David Boreas.
Yeah, I really like him. So it's awesome to see, a series that was able to fulfill the storyline obligations. So that'd be good. Well, television and film legend Dick Van Dyke will be honored in a CBS special airing next month on the network. Dick Van Dyke, 98 Years of Magic, will bow on Thursday, December 21st on the CBS television network, and will stream also on Paramount Plus. Of course, live and on demand for Paramount Plus with Showtime subscribers, or on demand for Paramount Plus Essential subscribers the day after the episode actually airs on TV. Now, the Grammy and Emmy and Tony Award winner Van Dyke has inspired generations of performers and will be honored for his contributions to the arts and entertainment. The tribute will travel back in time to an iconic set of the Dick Van Dyke Show and feature music and dance performances, special guests, and a holiday number. The 2-hour tribute event will also showcase songs and archival footage from the best of his nearly full century career, encompassing Mary Poppins, Bye Bye Birdie, Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, and more. I mean, this guy's a legend, so it only makes sense.
Oh, yeah. I'm so super excited about this one. Huge fan of Dick Van Dyke. I would go back and watch all the Dick Van Dyke shows on Nick at Night because I'm old, but I'm not that old. So I had to watch them on Nick at Night, but huge fan of the Dick Van Dyke Show. And I got to tell you, Mary Tyler Moore told me the sweetest story about him and how he was on set and how he would treat people and how he would just, if you guys didn't know anything about Dick Van Dyke, he loves to dance. He's like famous for it, but he actually just loves, and she told me the sweetest story about how when anything wasn't going right or if they were having a tough day on set, he would just burst into dance, and just do this ridiculous, crazy looking, stuff to get them to laugh and just let things go and be like, hey, it's all okay. We're dancing to the groove. We're going to be fine, kind of a thing. Just apparently a very sweet man. And you don't last 98 years in the fucking industry if you're not a good guy. So, I mean, shit.
Exactly.
He's basically been working since birth, popped out, and then it's like, boom, I'm an entertainer. I'm just going to go. That's awesome. I can't wait for that. That's going to be great. All right, let's jump over to NBC Universal. Although it was just released in theaters at the beginning of October, the 6th installment of the Exorcist movie franchise, well, it's coming to streaming. The Exorcist Believer will arrive on the Peacock on December 1st. Now, from Blumhouse Productions and director David Gordon Green, The Exorcist Believer is a reboot, of course, of the popular film series with a planned trilogy. It follows Victor Fielding, who's played by Leslie Odom Jr., a photographer trying to find answers when his daughter and her friend go missing, but then return possessed by evil forces a few days later. Now, Fielding seeks help from Chris McNeil, played by the one and only Ellen Bernstein, who experienced the same thing with her daughter 50 years earlier. And that, of course, I'm talking about is the original Exorcist film. Scary as fuck. My man Logan just watched it recently. We watched it together and scary as fuck.
Yeah.
Still scary.
Holds up, man.
Woo!
Still holds up.
Terrifying.
Out of body experience. Well, a couple of actors are set to leave the Dick Wolf universe on NBC. Jeffrey Donovan will not be returning as Detective Cosgrove for season 23 of Law and Order. According to sources, producers are already on the search for their next series regular. The outlet reports sources claim the two parted ways due to creative differences. Donovan joined the cast back in 2021, portraying Detective Cosgrove in season 21 and 22 of the series Revival. Now, Cosgrove, a junior detective, joined the NYPD team as a new partner of Detective Kevin Bernard, who, of course, was Anthony Anderson. Without Donovan, the remaining cast includes Sam Waterston as district attorney Jack McCoy, Cameron Manheim as Lieutenant Kate Dixon, Hugh Dancy as Assistant District Attorney Nolan Price, and Odila Halvey as Assistant District Attorney Samantha Morone. The exit marks the latest departure of the Dick Wolf produced series. Anderson, who reprised his role for season 21, left the series once his 1-year deal with NBC was finished. So yeah, there it is. I'm sure, they're going to try to keep that thing rocking and rolling. So we'll see how it goes.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think the creative difference is he was kind of like a not so good guy and kind of racist. And I think Donovan was never really happy playing that role. He was like the little bitch boy for Anthony Anderson's character, and he was always like the racist getting schooled by Anthony Anderson. I just don't think and then McCad Brooks came in, from Supergirl and took over that role, and he was still, man, bro, you're a racist kind of I think maybe Donovan is just like, fuck this. I'm not that guy. I don't want to play
especially
that guy.
having to portray that like episode after episode.
Yeah.
I'm sure that gets hard.
And because, he's most famously known for Burn Notice, where he's just like a stellar good guy. And so to have to play this kind of bad guy cop with a questionable racism, I don't blame him. I'd have been out of there too. But it's not the only one. As you said, there's two. And the other one, the upcoming 12th season of Chicago Fire, will apparently be the last for Cara Kilmer, who stars as Sylvie Brett. Now, while Kilmer will be in the first part of the season, it has not yet been determined how many episodes she's going to appear in. Kilmer, of course, joined the NBC procedural in season 3 in 2014 and has appeared in 193 episodes. She's also had recurring roles on the spin-offs Chicago Med and Chicago PD. All 3 shows, of course, are produced by Wolf Entertainment and Universal Television. During season 10 of the drama, Jesse Spencer, who portrayed Brett's boyfriend, Matt Casey, left the show. Now, in season 11, while Taylor Kinney stepped away for personal matter, Spencer made numerous appearances. In the final moments of the season finale, Casey, who lives in Oregon, proposed to Brett. Amid the double Hollywood strike, season 12 has, of course, been delayed. So the writer's room opened back up on October 4th. Production of Chicago Fire is expected to begin the week after Thanksgiving. Yeah, I mean, it only makes sense. I only catch episodes here or there of this one. I used to watch Chicago PD because it would cross over with Law and Order, and then they'd have like a big thing where it would cross over with Fire, and which is why I watched sporadic episodes. But it makes sense because a lot of the people tied into her character have already left. So it was like the writing on the wall that she wasn't going to be hanging around much longer after that. So it makes sense.
Yeah. It does make sense. It does. This next one I'm super excited about because everybody knows I love Seth MacFarlane, and I actually loved these 2 films. I'm talking about the Ted franchise. Well, now there's going to be a series for Ted, and it's coming to Peacock, and it has set its premiere date. The 7-episode event series, which serves as a prequel to the first 2 Ted films, will debut on Peacock January 11th. Now, Peacock has also released the first trailer and first look images for the series, which can be seen online. Be sure to check those out. The first episode is described as supersized, while the remaining 6 are 30 minutes each. Set in 1993, the series begins as Ted the Bear's, Seth MacFarlane's moment of fame has passed, per the official description. He's now living back at home in Farrington, Massachusetts, with his best friend, 16-year-old John Bennett, who, of course, was Mark Wahlberg, but this time is going to be played by Max Burkholder. Along with John's parents, Maddie and Susan, who is played by Scott Grimes and Elena Ubach, and cousin Blair, who's played by Georgia Winningham. Now, Ted must be a lousy influence on John, though, but at the end of the day, he is a loyal pal who's always willing to go out on a limb for his friendship. But I'm expecting some crude humor, some raunchy comedy. I think we all are, and I think the world just needs a laugh. So let's watch some Ted and just have a laugh.
Oh, without doubt, and I'm all in to see their youth. Right, that's fantastic. I love that. I think that's going to be amazing. So what a brilliant idea. What a great way to bring him back and see how they they have to have Thunder Buddies. We have to see a scene where they're young and they're doing the Thunder Buddy thing. I mean, otherwise epic fail. We got to do that. All right, let's jump over to Sony. That was a good one to end on that. Let's jump over to Sony. Sony has released the first trailer for Madam Web, starring Dakota Johnson and Sydney Sweeney, a suspense thriller set in the studio's universe of Marvel characters. Now, Johnson steps into the leading role of Cassandra Webb, a Manhattan paramedic who may have clairvoyant abilities, which allow her to see into the future and the interconnected spider world. Now, in the trailer, she meets and forges a partnership with a trio of young women, including Sweeney's Julia Carpenter, who later takes on the mantle of Spider-Woman in the comics, of course, to understand her past and survive the deadly present. The cast also includes Isabella Merced, Emma Roberts, Adam Scott, Celeste O'Connor, Tahir Rahim, Mike Epps, and Zosia Mamet. Now, Madam Web is the latest chapter, of course, in Sony's universe of Marvel characters, following the releases of Tom Hardy's Venom, Venom Let There Be Carnage, and Jared Leto's Morbius. Now, up next for Sony is a third Venom movie slated for November 8th of 2024, and Kraven the Hunter, starring Aaron Taylor Johnson on August 30th of 2024. Madam Web is Sony's first comic book adaptation that features a woman in the lead role. S.J. Clarkson, who helmed Marvel's Jessica Jones and the Defenders, directs Madam Web from a screenplay she co-wrote with Claire Parker. The movie swings into theaters on Valentine's Day of 2024. This screams a Valentine's date movie. Come on, come on. Come on over to a suspense thriller in the Spider-Man world on Valentine's Day. All right, Sony. All right.
But as a comic book person, what did you think about the trailer?
I liked the trailer. I like that we're going to see different versions of Spider-Woman along with Madam Web. I think I've got better hopes for this one than I do for the third Venom. And unless the third Venom, we finally see him interact with Spider-Man, which would be good. And we know Morbius sucked. And I mean, I am kind of looking forward to Kraven the Hunter, though. I'm not even going to lie. That one kind of looks okay. So fingers crossed. I'm hoping these guys can do something in this universe, but I'm just going to say it. I liked this trailer. I'm kind of okay with this. I'm hoping it's not like...
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I'm hoping it's not like we always see where all of the best parts are in the trailer and then the movie sucks. I'm hoping that's not the case, but you never know.
Well, it was definitely, I felt like good, and it definitely piqued my curiosity because I have so many questions, not being, familiar with a lot of the comic books. But yeah, it's the first time in a while that a Sony film of Marvel's association piqued my curiosity. So that's nice, and I hope that draws people in to see it. So that'll be good. That'll be good
for sure.
Well, heading over to Lionsgate, the Hunger Games prequel, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, is expected to emerge victorious this weekend at the box office battle royale, competing against two fellow newcomers, Universal and DreamWorks Animation's threequel Trolls Band Together and Sony's gory thriller Thanksgiving. Be sure to check that out.
Sexiest Man Alive.
In the crowded pre-Thanksgiving Day corridor, despite the stacked race, all three films could work as a counter-programming against each other and carve out a solid box office receipt. The Hunger Games, The Ballad of Songbird and Snakes, has made $5.75 million in previews at the domestic box office. The prequel is expected to make around $50 million debuting this weekend. Tracking, however, has suggested a wide range of between 45 million to 60 million from 3,700 theaters. It's also opening an international box office as well, where the film is expected to bring in roughly 50 million for the global start of around like 100 million worldwide. The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, which is backed by Lionsgate, could benefit from a late-breaking press tour, though. Days before the SAG strike ended, it was granted an interim agreement that allowed the cast, including Viola Davis, Peter Dinklage, and Euphoria star Hunter Schafer, the opportunity to promote the film before it landed into theaters. As the first Hunger Games movie did 8 years and only without Jennifer Lawrence's Girl on Fire, it's not projected to reach the same heights as the initial saga. Now, the original Hunger Games debuted to $152 million back in 2012, with the three follow-ups, 2013's Catching Fire at 158 million, 2014's Mockingjay Part 1 at 121 million, and 2015's Mockingjay Part 2 at 102 million, each hitting three digits to start. But this newest installment of the dystopian franchise cost about 100 million. So the box office analysts believe that the film is well positioned in its theatrical run. I surely hope so. I went and saw it yesterday and I enjoyed it. I really did. I don't know if it's setting up more films. I think it could just be a one-off. But I mean, I really enjoyed it. I think, the tribe that is the Hunger Games people and fanatics, I feel like they'll really enjoy it as well. So hopefully people get out to the cinemas and check it out.
Yeah, I was going to say you were part of that 5.7 million for the Thursday previews.
I was.
I think it's actually going to be a trilogy. From what there's 3 prequel books. So I don't
think there is yet.
Well, no, they haven't all been released yet, but from what I understand, there is 3 prequel books, right?
There's only one out right now, so we'll see.
Okay. Interesting. So, I just feel like if this does any kind of a profitable thing, though, they're going to do another one. I mean, you're right.
I hope so, because like I said, I mean, it was definitely the balance of being a good person and conflict, and yet, we really got to see where Snow came from, and it was very interesting. I think it is. It's definitely one that sparks a conversation. That's for sure.
For sure, because they're trying to make Snow likable. So now you see that he wasn't always a bad person, right? Like,
You see that partially, and then you're like,
or
okay,
was he?
Yeah.
The bad side was always in him, but the Walking Dead actor Tom Payne and Broadway veteran Betty Buckley have apparently joined the cast of Blumhouse's next movie Imaginary, which of course is a horror thriller led by DeWanda Wise. Now, Tegan Burns from the Mighty Ducks Game Changers, Piper Braun from Desperation Road, if you guys haven't seen that movie yet, Matthew Sato, High School Musical, the musical series, and Veronica Falcone from Jungle Cruise will round out the cast. Now, Lionsgate is releasing the film on March 8th of next year. It wrapped production before the writers and actors strikes actually happened, so it will arrive in theaters as planned, unlike several other movies that were forced not to. Now, Imaginary was directed by Jeff Wadlow from a script he co-wrote with Greg Erb and Jason Ormond. The story centers on Jessica, who moves back into her childhood home with her family when her stepdaughter Alice develops a concerning attachment to the stuffed bear. Now, Chauncey, she finds in the basement. Jessica becomes concerned with the young girl's behavior. Jessica intervenes only to realize that Chauncey is much more than a stuffed toy bear that she believed him to be. Lionsgate and Blumhouse recently released a creepy, innovative, in-theaters-only teaser trailer for the movie, which asks viewers to keep their eyes shut. The film's official trailer will debut in the coming days. So I'm excited about this one. I mean, I think he's killing it. We all know he knows how to do a horror film. So this one's going to be pretty good. And I'm super pumped. If you guys don't know Piper Braun, check her out in Desperation Road. She's an amazing young actress. So if she's the girl that's going to be fucking with the scary shit, she's going to be great. That's going to be awesome. So yeah, I'm pumped for this one.
They showed that trailer last night before the Hunger Games, and yeah, it was intense. It was really good, and the older brother and the new Doogie Howser is in it as well. So yeah, I mean, I was like, oh shit, look at him.
Oh, that's fantastic.
But yeah, man, I mean, Blumhouse, they're killing it.
They know how to do it, man.
They are horror right now.
They are.
They really are. Amazon MGM Studios is in serious talks to mount a live-action Master of the Universe movie from Adam and Aaron Nee, the writing and directing team behind The Lost City, according to multiple insiders. Now, conversations are taking place at Amazon after Netflix dropped the planned version of the Nee brothers film in July. Now, Amazon is in talks are tenuous, and another source cautions, but the studio should advance, and it will need to close new deals with the Nees for a script to polish and to direct. Now, Alan is still in the mix to star as He-Man. Mattel and producer Todd Black, who has been devoted to the film across multiple former studio homes, including Warner Brothers and Sony, will also be seeking a significant theatrical release, something that has not quite been on the table for Netflix. Now, multiple insiders say that the budget is hovering below 200 million, roughly 170 million, according to a person that we have spoke with off air. The rights to Masters are entangled in a dizzying web, that's for sure. One that stretches back more than a decade when DreamWorks Animations purchased them as part of a larger content library. The deal said Mattel could exploit Masters characters for filmed adaptations through 2026, two sources close to the situation say. As DWA is now owned by NBC Universal, this means that the conglomerate could interfere with any potential sequels that Amazon MGM would want to develop. An essential option a producer needs to when he is investing hundreds of millions of dollars in a big movie like that. Now, NBC and Mattel have been in talks for weeks over the possible extension for the rights. Sources say that they may reach a deal, may not, who knows. Should the rights negotiations pan out, it would represent the first big kill for Amazon's new head of theatrical film and streaming, Courtney Valenti. Before coming to Amazon, Valenti was head of production at Warner Brothers, where she worked at the studio's adaptation of Mattel's Barbie. Its successes, which include $1.4 billion at the worldwide box office and Oscar buzz, may even be motivating her to make a deal for He-Man. So, but yeah, talk about a strange, strenuous web that they got going on there for this like hot IP right now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this Master of the Universe shit is like in very high demand from the studios. So
fuck yeah,
it'll be interesting to see how it all plans out.
Well, it's kind of ridiculous that Netflix let it drop because Kevin Smith's animated version did huge numbers for them. So the idea that they're going to let it walk away because they don't want to give it a theatrical release seems stupid to me. Hopefully that Amazon doesn't get screwed over by NBC negotiating the deal to keep the rights, because that would suck. Or at least let NBC Universal give them the ability to make the movie, because I, for one, was a huge He-Man and She-Ra fan back in the day. I want to see a fucking... The Dolph Lundgren one was fucking god-awful back in the day. It was so bad. I want to see a legit, a Chris Hemsworth. That's who should be playing fucking He-Man. That guy, that's right. He-Man, right? Like, come on. Fuck. So let's jump over to Netflix, where Denzel Washington is teaming up once again with his Training Day and Equalizer director Antoine Fuqua to play the ancient Carthaginian general Hannibal in an untitled Netflix movie. The film will be written by John Logan, the 3-time Academy Award winner who scribed Martin Scorsese's The Aviator and Ridley Scott's Gladiator. Now, according to the official logline, and this is important because it's not that Hannibal. No, not that Hannibal. The movie is based on the real-life warrior Hannibal, who is widely regarded as one of the greatest military commanders in history. Now, the film covers the pivotal battles he led against the Roman Republic during the Second Punic War. Hannibal invaded Italy while riding a northern African war elephant. Under his lead, the Carthaginians, won key victories against the Romans, allowing Hannibal to occupy the majority of southern Italy for 15 years. Now, eventually, Hannibal was defeated by the Romans at the Battle of the Zama after they counter-invaded North Africa. Washington will produce this thing alongside Eric Olson, Adam Goldworm, and Fuqua via his Hill District Media's first look deal with Netflix. Listen, anytime these boys get together, they make gold. So I think this is probably going to be a great movie. I want to see Denzel Washington riding into anywhere on the fucking back of an elephant. That's going to be badass. Right? I'm just saying.
Yeah. It does sound really cool.
It does.
It really does. Unstable has been renewed for season 2 at Netflix, which is kind of crazy because we know Netflix.
Yeah.
The comedy series starring Rob Lowe and his son John Owen Lowe originally debuted on Netflix back in March. Andrew Garland has joined the show as the showrunner and executive producer, while co-creator Victor Fresco has exited the series. Production on season 2 will begin in the upcoming weeks in Los Angeles. The Lowe's co-created Unstable with Fresco. Now, the father-son duo serve as executive producers alongside Gerland and Sean Clement. Um, Claire Scollin serves as director and executive producer. Now, the official description of the series states Ellis Dragon, who's played by Rob Lowe, is a universally admired, eccentric, narcissistic, adjacent biotech entrepreneur working to make the world a better place. He also is an emotional free fall, though. His son, Jack Dragon, who's played by his son in real life, John, is none of those things, though. Now, can Jackson save Ellis and his company and salvage their strange relationship while also doing what may actually be impossible? Escaping the shadow of his larger than life father? We'll see. The cast of the series also includes Cyan Clifford, Rachel Marsh, Emma Ferreira, and Aaron Branch. It's a funny show, and
It
it's
is.
definitely different than anything I've seen before, but it's definitely got a niche type of audience, I feel like.
Yeah.
But I'm not surprised that they kept it around because, I mean, it's Rob Lowe.
Yeah, no, of course. I'm with you. I watched a few episodes of it. I thought it was funny. It's entertaining if you like that type of a show. It's entertaining.
Yeah.
You know, like you said, though, it is very niche. So that's the good news. That's a series that got picked up. Unfortunately, many did not. Shadow in the Bone and Glamorous, along with adult animated series Agent Elvis, Farzar, and Captain Fall, will not be returning for new seasons at Netflix. The announcement comes as Hollywood streamers and broadcasters continue to assess the impact by the strikes, as we keep telling you. Sources say Netflix's decision to cancel stemmed from various reasons, including performance and the impact from the strikes. Now, as the industry evaluates production schedules, scheduling shifts, etc., Netflix has said about previous cancellations, the streamer continues to look at viewing versus cost as it evaluates its shows. Now, in the case of series like Agent Elvis, Glamorous, Farzar, and Captain Fall, each show only ran for one season before its cancellation, while Shadow and Bone received a cancellation after running its second season, which arrived on the streamer back in March. But if anybody's keeping track, you guys know we say it all the time. You're lucky if you get 2 seasons on Netflix. So I'm not surprised at all that 4 series were canceled after 1. Because it seems to be the trend.
Exactly. They seem to throw like 10 things in there and maybe 1 or 2 come out.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy. But I mean, one of them that definitely came out and was a huge success, Wednesday. Now they are moving production from Romania to Ireland for season 2, and it is tentatively scheduled to start shooting in April. Now, the 8-episode first season, which originally debuted last November on Netflix, was shot in Romania from September 21 to March of 22. After breaking multiple streaming series records, including most hours viewed for an English language series in its first week, with over 341 million hours, the comedy horror series was renewed for season 2 in January. Like I said, I mean, they're more about the quantity rather than the quality, but when they find the quality, they do have pretty decent quality shows. But yeah, I mean, it's very interesting. Wednesday was a big hit, and I mean, it was very entertaining. Jenna Ortega did amazing. But I just feel bad for all these other Netflix projects, man.
Agreed. Agreed. I've got nothing left to say. I'm furthering down the rundown, and I'm seeing, and
yeah.
No, sir.
You didn't look.
No, sir. Look at it yet? I didn't look at it yet. No, sir. That's my first glance, and no, sir. No, sir. No, sir. No, sir. All right, no, that's a great industry news segment. That was a lot. I'm super pumped about all the Marvel stuff and everything. Oh boy! You said you thought you were gonna take some heat. I didn't think you meant from me, but
oh yeah, Oh, I hope everybody's ready. Top 5 remakes that were better than the originals. Now, let me preface let me preface. I've only watched the remakes on some of these and refused to watch the other ones because I like the remakes so much. So there you go.
Is that your number 5 and 4? Is that the excuse you're giving me for the number 5 and 4?
Really all of them. I'm not even gonna lie to you. Really all of them.
Have you never seen the original number 4?
No.
What the fuck? Seriously?
I haven't seen a lot of his movies. Yeah, to be honest.
I'll let you slide on number 5, but number 4 you have to watch, and you will come back in a future episode and apologize for your number 4. Because when you watch the original, you'll be like, I was wrong. That's all
Is it disrespectful to those who have passed?
It's disrespectful to those who are still alive. Anybody that's from that era is going to smack you upside your head. I don't even know, man.
Oh, my goodness. All right, well, let's get into it. Like I said, top 5 remakes that were better than the original. Number 5 for me goes to Footloose, because when I actually watched when I watched the remake, I had actually never even heard that it was a remake. So I mean, I don't know what that says about my parents. But I really enjoyed the remake of Footloose. I thought it was fun. You know, you got Miles Teller freaking dancing and shit. And he's like a cowboy, but Miles can really do anything and be good at it. But yeah, man, I mean, I just really enjoyed it, and I'm happy that they made that song for this film specifically, not for the 80s one, but the Footloose song. Yeah, they made it specifically.
Yeah, sure they did. Sure they did for this one. Yeah.
It was great. But yeah, number 5 for me, Footloose.
Kenny's calling right now. Kenny Loggins is on the phone. Fuck you. We didn't make it for this new one. What are you talking about? Yeah. This new one, in my opinion, was a commercial for Dancing with the Stars. It's fucking Juliana Hough. I love Miles Teller, but it was a fucking piggyback off the success of Dancing with the Stars. That's all it fucking was. Let's get Juliana in a movie. Where can we put her in a movie that lets her dance? Fucking let's do Footloose. It just no, and no. But God bless you. God bless you. Kevin Bacon, man. How can you say you didn't even hear of the original? It's Kevin fucking Bacon.
I know.
Don't worry, guys. Wait until number 4. That's all I was saying. Wait until number 4. Whew. My number 5, and I don't think anybody will argue with me on this one. I just don't. I love Sandra Bullock, and fucking I love Sylvester Stallone and fucking Wesley Snipes. They're all great, but this movie fucking sucked. I'm a comic book fan, and I just didn't like it. My movie number 5 that I thought was way better than the original is Dredd, which is, of course, the original was called Judge Dredd, starred Sylvester Stallone, and like I said, Sandra Bullock, Wesley Snipes, etc. 1995. The reboot came out in 2012 with Carl Urban. Infinitely better. Captured the tone of the comic book much better. The flow of the story was better. The acting was better. I'm not trying to dig at any of the other people in the original, but it was a much better movie. I mean, all he can think about is like Sylvester Stallone say, "I am the law." I mean, that right there, that's like enough to say no. Dredd, infinitely better. Carl Urban did not say, "I am the law." It's fine when you're going, "Adrian," but no. When you're Judge Dredd, you shouldn't be going, no. Didn't work for me. I loved Dredd 2012. If my advice would be for anybody out there, ignore the Sylvester Stallone version. Watch the Carl Urban version. Dredd. That's all I'm saying.
There it is. Number 4 for me goes to the right Wolverines, and I'm talking about Chris Hemsworth, Josh Peck, and all the other amazing actors and actresses in this one. Red Dawn.
No.
I loved the remake of Red Dawn. I thought it was so freaking great. I just, spoiler alert when old boy gets shot in the head, but I just feel like, this was honestly one of the first films that I had seen Josh Peck in after Drake and Josh. So that was fun. It looked like he was probably when he was on a binging phase, though. He had those dark eyes. But I also really liked Chris Hemsworth. He was amazing. I just really freaking loved this movie. And you can't say it was a bad movie because it was a great movie, but you just think it wasn't better than the original. Blah 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 blah. But yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Swayze. I'm sorry, Patrick. But had to go with the reboot, the remake, Red Dawn, number 4.
You're correct in the sense that I can't say it was a bad movie, but I can also not say ever that it was better than the original. Like Swayze, I mean, Patrick Swayze, guys, Charlie Sheen, Leah Thompson, basically any famous star from the 80s was in this movie. They were taking on the fucking Russians, the Red Menace, like parachuting into America. Come on. And yeah, I mean, the most iconic when the name of their football team was the Wolverines, and when they're fighting and they're fighting for their lives against the Russians, and Wolverine, you're never going to beat Swayze and the boys doing that. I'm sorry, never going to happen. The original will always be the better one, in my opinion. They even had to change it up in the reboot. They had to make it like Middle Easterners, like I forget who they made it, but North Korea. Yeah. I mean, because they couldn't do Russia, and it was like, oh, how can we make this bad guys? Let's make it these people. And I'm like, no, it was the fucking Russians. The Russians are still bad. Putin is still bad. Still make it fucking Russians. Like, come on. Like, it could be a Putin could invade us. Let's come on. I don't know, man. I didn't think it was, because I too like Hemsworth and I like Josh Peck, and I didn't think it was a bad movie. And if the original never existed, I would think this is a great movie. But the original exists, and therefore I cannot and will not stamp approval on your choice. I just cannot do it.
It's okay. I can't stamp a choosel, or your next one. I have
what? No, I thought you would totally agree with this one, and I'm a huge fan. Look, I'm going to say it. I'm a huge fan of the original. I'm right there with you. I love the fucking guy. I think the original was brilliant. I just think that the new one is equally as brilliant or better. And of course, my number 4, I'm talking about It. As you guys know, the original back in 1990 with Tim Curry himself, fucking legendary. He played it brilliantly. I mean, Pennywise was great. It was terrifying. It was spooky as hell. I loved it. But then the reboot came out, man, in 2017. Holy shit. Pennywise. Now that was really fucking terrifying. Skarsgård was like, what the fuck? It was so good. I loved the young actors. I loved all of them. I just thought it was... Maybe it's just me, production value. I mean, I don't think a lot of people realize that the original was like a TV movie. And it was, I think for me, the reason I put this one above saying it was better than the original is because it did show a little bit more of the creepy shit that they stayed away from in the TV movie. So you got a little bit more of the book type stuff. And the production value, I mean, I just think it looked better. But you're dealing with 1990 versus 2017. And so that. But overall... those are my reasons. I just think it's better because of those things. But I'm not knocking the original. I did like the original movie. But these are movies that I think are better. And for production value and how they pulled it off and being more true to the book, I think this one was better.
See, the subtleties of the TV movie, I think, were just way... I felt like they were more impactful to me than the over-the-top CGI effects that, I mean, don't get me wrong, that both of their endings are not my favorite at all. I love the story altogether on both of them, but they can never get the ending of that shit right. But I just feel like I love the subtleties of Tim Curry's more. And I feel like when you picture a scary clown that's traditional, like I feel you picture Tim Curry's more. And I don't know. I didn't like the head. His head was just way too obnoxious in my opinion, but they're both still great. I just prefer the older one better than the newer one.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Number 3 for me, actually at one point in time when I was a wee lad, was one of my favorite movies of all time. Because I'm a really big Adam Sandler fan. I love Chris Rock, and I love when they brought freaking Irving in there, and I love Terry Crews and Ludacris, Nelly. I'm not racist, but The Longest Yard.
One had a Band-Aid. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
It's fine. But yes, The Longest Yard. I thought this was a freaking phenomenal movie, and especially stepping away from his comedy roots. Because we talk about all the time, Adam Sandler is such a great actor. Yes, he's an amazing comedian, what he does on stage and what he does with his comedic movies. But when he portrays like dramas, I just think he does an amazing thing. Something, a new side of him comes out, right? And I just, bringing back old boy there, Kurt Russell, to be the coach. I thought that was awesome. Nice homage to the original. Again, haven't seen the original, but I love this film so much because it gives you that feel good feeling at the end, to fight for what is right and not what you have to, what other people are telling you to do. So, I mean, that's why I love it. The Longest Yard, man, such a great movie.
So are you happy that they're doing it again? They're getting ready to do another reboot of it. Like, it's not the first film that's seen multiple reboots. So
yeah,
I don't know. I'm going to be honest with you. And people are probably going to be shocked by this, but I haven't seen either one, the original or the Adam Sandler.
Really?
Haven't watched it. The Burt Reynolds one or the Adam Sandler one. Have not watched either one.
Yeah.
So is what it is. I can't make a judgment call on this because I don't know. I haven't.
Wow, I
guess
surprised by that.
I know. I think a lot of people will, but I guess I'm gonna have to watch both, and then we'll come back to this discussion.
Yeah, right.
All right, my number 3. I think you would agree with me. I don't know if you saw the original or not, but anybody back in the day knows that Glenn Ford, pretty big fucking movie star back in the day, was right up there, right? I'm talking about 3:10 to Yuma. 3:10 to Yuma. The original was 1957 with Glenn Ford. Of course, obviously, the new one, 2007, with Christian Bale and what's his face there? Zod. You know who I'm talking about. Why can't I think of his name? You know who I'm talking about. I just watched him. I just watched him in a movie about Unhinged.
Russell Crowe.
Russell Crowe, yes. Why did that name escape me? Christian Bale and Russell Crowe. I liked the original. Good Western. Good old Western. And, all those old Westerns are really good. But I got to tell you, the dynamic between Christian Bale and Russell Crowe, I thought was infinitely better than Glenn Ford and Van Helfen. I thought it was just better than that combination. And then the style in which it was shot. Huge fan. They went back to, we've talked about this a lot, but how they drove the intensity, how they made the audience feel it. There's one brilliant shot in there where they're in the hotel waiting for the time to go to the train, and it replicates 12 Angry Men where it's closing in and they're having this discussion and you don't even, it's just, to me, it was a much better filmmaker's film. So while the story was pretty spot on, I mean, it was either one you watch, the story is the story. It's the manner in which the story was told of why I like the reboot better. And I'm a classic guy. I like the old ones. I like but there was just something there. The dynamic between the two leads and then the style in which they shot it, I was all in on it. It's one of my favorite movies of all time, honestly. I think it's just a brilliantly done movie. 3:10 to Yuma, better than the original.
Yeah, completely agree. I mean, that's a phenomenal movie. Absolutely love it. Number 2 for me goes to Bad News Bears. Oh my goodness. I freaking love Billy Bob Thornton in this role. I mean, he plays an asshole so well, right? Like, I mean, it's so freaking great, but it's a redemption story, of course. And like I said, I didn't watch the original. So to see this one, and it was very successful, I felt like, for my generation. So I really enjoyed it. Bad News Bears.
All right, fair enough. I haven't watched the new one. I only watched the original. I love Walter Matthau, and yeah. So I cannot again make a judgment call on this one. I stayed away from the new one because I was a huge fan of the original, and I was like, why are they doing it? And I'm gonna stick with my childhood. I loved my Bad News Bears from my childhood. I didn't watch it, so sorry. There it is.
There it is.
My number 2, I'm really just, unless you're a hardcore still in love with Elizabeth Taylor, I don't think anybody is going to disagree with me on this one. This particular movie was made a couple of times, but I'm going to reference the 2 most famous times. 1950, Spencer Tracy and Elizabeth Taylor. Everybody loved Spencer and Elizabeth. But the 1991 version, in my opinion, infinitely better. I am talking about Father of the Bride. The adorable Kimberly Williams as Annie, Steve Martin, Diane Keaton. I mean, come on, Martin Short. This movie was so adorable to me. I was in love with Kimberly Williams. The second I saw her on screen, I'm like, I want to marry her. She was such a cutie patootie back then. Now, of course, she's Kimberly Williams Paisley. She's Brad Paisley's wife. But the basketball scene, and it just, I don't know, there was so many great things about this. I just thought the dynamic, again, for me, it was the acting. The dynamic between Steve Martin and Kimberly Williams was just so endearing and so adorable. I just thought that chemistry is there. And then on the flip side, he had it with Diane Keaton too, the husband and the dad. And it just, I don't know, for this, I loved it. I loved the sequel. I was all in on this one. And I had seen the original. Like I said, I'm a fan of classic movies, and I loved Elizabeth Taylor. And the original one is good, but it just can't touch the remake. The Father of the Bride, the 1991 version, I can't think of anybody that I've ever talked to that doesn't like the movie. Or the sequel.
Agreed.
I mean, it's an adorable, cute family film that makes you want to be a dad. It makes you want to... in fact, I'm living this right now. I'm feeling this because I'm about to have to give away my baby. I'm about to have to give my baby to you. And I'm like, I'm feeling this Father of the Bride moment right now. I just want to take her out and play some ball and just do some things with her and just like... I don't know. I love this movie. Maybe that's why. I mean, she wasn't born yet when this movie was out, but even more so sentimental. I just, now it's even better for me. So my number 2, Father of the Bride.
Yeah, man. Yeah. My number 1 goes to The Departed, which a lot of people didn't even know that was a remake. It's a remake from a Korean film, Infernal Affairs. Martin Scorsese saw it and was obsessed with the plot story and how the characters are all intertwined. Is he a good guy? Is he a bad guy? Type of situation with multiple characters. So of course I've talked about The Departed on multiple episodes, how it's one of my favorite films of all time. And it was also another inspiration of me becoming a filmmaker. Of course, you have an amazing cast with amazing writers and an amazing director that's centered around gangster shit. Of course, I love it.
Of course.
But I mean, yeah, I mean, I've said and spoken about this film so much, but it's honestly, I think it's the best remake ever, which is kind of crazy because if you think about it, the first one, the Korean film, it came out in 2002, and then this one wasn't far after that. So, I mean, but I guess the audiences just didn't realize that it was a remake. But yeah, man, The Departed, my number 1.
Yeah, I saw the original, and I'm with you on this one. The Departed is infinitely better than the original. Yeah. Takes all of the good aspects of the story from the original, but then just elevates it to a level that's just not even close. That's Scorsese, right? Like I mean, he took a good story and made it a fucking phenomenal story, and just the casting and the telling. Yeah, I can't even, there's no argument here. Departed is one of my all-time favorites as well. It's a fucking brilliant movie. I love it. My number 1, it's been made 746 times. No, I'm just kidding. But it has been made a lot. Originally in 1937, that's not even true. It was more in the 20s, but it wasn't called A Star is Born back then. But it's based off a movie that was made in the 20s. But I'm going with the one that we're all familiar with. 1937, huge star back in the day in 1937, Janet Gaynor. Then it was remade again in 1954 with the lovely and one and only Judy Garland. Then it was remade again in 1976 with Barbra Streisand and Chris Christopherson. And then, most recently, Bradley Cooper and Lady Gaga. I'm talking about, of course, A Star is Born. I have seen all of these versions. If for anybody who doesn't know, this is the interesting part, that the little trivia. Put this away in the back of your head for Jeopardy. The 1937 version and the 1954 version which is odd because you're thinking Judy Garland, right? Not based about musicians. They were actors. The story was about actors. And then it transitioned when Barbra Streisand did that remake. It transitioned to the musician trying to get and do the whole thing. So it started off as actors, became musicians, which is a really interesting little trivia thing that knocked back there. But I don't think anybody thought when it was first announced, because most people know the Barbra Streisand, Chris Christopherson one, and most people, even my generation, and even younger generation, you guys, would say, okay, that's a really great fucking movie. And when it was first announced, everybody was like, are you fucking kidding me? Bradley Cooper and Lady Gaga, don't touch A Star Is Born. It's like, you shouldn't touch it, you shouldn't do it, you shouldn't remake it. And then we saw it, and you're like, holy fuck. It's like so much better than all of the originals. It's so good. Sam Elliott, this was a brilliant directorial debut by a phenomenal actor who made the decision to cast Gaga against everybody. He's like, I'm not just casting her because she can sing. I'm telling you she can act. And he put her in there. And I mean, this is one of the best stories I've ever seen. This is one of the best acting performances, one of the best movies. I just infinitely better. And that's saying a lot because I don't think anybody understands. The other three were classics. They're all huge hits. They were big movies. They were all massively successful. And yet this one, I don't think the first three can touch it. And you're talking about fucking Barbra Streisand and Judy Garland. I mean, to say that they cannot touch this movie, even Barbra Streisand came out and said she thought this version was better. So, I mean, A Star Is Born. I still go back and watch it. And the fucking soundtrack is awesome, and it's a brilliant fucking movie.
It really is. Yeah, it's one of my favorites as well. But it's interesting because, I haven't went back and watched it since our first initial watch. Because, I mean, it is hardcore. But, yeah, it's definitely one of those that is always in the back of your head. You know, maybe that should be one of our top 5's most rewatch value. That would be kind of fun because, there's always ones that I feel like are easier to put on than other ones, which is interesting.
Well,
right?
You have to be in the mood for this one, right? Because you know the suicide is coming at the end. It's dark. It's. I was literally just talking to a friend today about how on Zoom I can't figure out the fucking settings, and it comes up at the most inappropriate fucking times.
So bad.
It's about suicide. I mean, it's just fucking Zoom. Come on, somebody tell me how to fucking turn that shit off. But you're right, though. You have to be in a mood. This isn't one where if you see it on TV, you stop and watch it. It's like you got to be in the right mind frame, and you're right. But yeah, I couldn't not put it on the list because I really do think it's maybe my favorite remake. It's just so well done and cemented, in my opinion, Bradley Cooper as a filmmaker. He's just a phenomenal filmmaker now. So
yeah, completely agree. Well, everybody, we want to know, what is your favorite remake that you like better than the original? Be sure to comment below in the YouTube comment section or add us on Twitter or in the podcast comment section. We love the fan interaction, and we just want to see, do you like a remake better than the original? Please let us know. We appreciate it.
And Logan's got an upcoming wedding coming up, so just forgive him for the first two. It's fine. Forgive him. He's going to be all right. I'm going to make him watch Red Dawn. It's going to be fine.
Oh, so funny.
I love my daughter. I love him. I want them to be happy. Don't hurt him before the wedding. Just let it go. Let it go, 80s people. Let it go.
Yeah. Gen X, chill the fuck
out. Gen X is pretty fucking pissed right now. But let it go. We're okay. We're okay. I'm going to go turn on Swayze later. It's going to be fine. Wolverines!
Well, heading over to the box office recap, The Marvels did come in at number 1 with only $46.1 million. Number 2 was Five Nights at Freddy's. Or Five Nights at Friday? Or Five Nights at Freddy's?
At Freddy's. Yeah, Five Nights at Freddy's.
Okay, came in at number 2 with 9 million. Number 3 was still Taylor Swift's The Eras Tour with 6.1 million. Number 4 was Priscilla with 4.8 million, and number 5 is Killers of the Flower Moon.
I mean, I've heard some horror stories about certain Fridays. I mean, I guess if you spent 5 nights at Fridays, could also be horror. I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean,
And
can we just say before we jump to the new movies, The Marvels, the 33rd or 34th one of those straight #1 openings at the box office. Okay?
True.
Unprecedented. Dog it, say what you want about it, but it was #1. It's an unprecedented record. It's never going to be beat. No other franchise in the history of movie making has ever debuted every single film at #1. I'm just saying. Back the fuck off of the Marvels. Have you seen that little clip with Imani? She's like, I think it was, she was on Seth, and he was talking to her about working with Samuel L. Jackson. And she's like, oh my God, it was Samuel L. Jackson. And every time I would look at him, I'd see the little 16:9 frame around him because he's just like this big movie star. And I'm doing the scene and everything with him. And it's the fighting scene that you just watched. And she's like, and we're doing it. And at the end... And at the end of it, I said, I'm going to improvise. I'm going to just do this thing. And so at the end of it, I high-fived him. And then he was like, they're never going to use that. And she was like, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean, I was just trying to be creative. And he's like, you know why they're never going to use that? Because you put your hand in front of your face. And she's like, oh. And he's like, so we're going to do it again. This time, elbow me. And she's like, oh, okay. And so they do it again, and we do it, and I just like, and I barely touch him. And he's like, I said elbow me. Come on, elbow me. And then she's like, so we did it again, and I messed it up. They had to cut. I just couldn't get the mechanics down. I didn't know what to do. And so what did Samuel L. Jackson do? Well, he finally came over, and he took my arm, and he said, I said elbow me, motherfucker. and then she's like, okay, Samuel L. Jackson didn't curse at me. He was sweet, but I wanted him to curse at me. I thought he said that to me because we all know it was the cutest clip ever. She's like, all that she wanted was Samuel L. Jackson to drop the F-bomb on her about, it was so. But my point is like, when you throw out all that trash against people and say all those nasty things, you have to remember that they're people. And this is a young woman still. Her first big major thing. You can break somebody like that by putting out all that negativity and that nastiness towards her and the rest of the people. It's like, think about that before you just throw it out there. You're crushing this young girl who, this was literally her dream to play this character. And, just have more class, have some more respect. That's all I'm saying.
Exactly. We see all you people out there in our YouTube comments. We see you.
We see you. That's right. Think of her, okay? Think of her. She's going to come kick your ass. Samuel L. Jackson's going to show up and kick y'all's ass.
Exactly. New movies coming out right now. Be sure to check out The Hunger Games, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes.
Which you did.
Thanksgiving with the Sexiest Man Alive. Trolls Band Together. Next Goal Wins. That one looked interesting.
It did.
And Do Not Disturb. But, disregard that one. Look out for all of the other ones that we freaking mentioned. And maybe that one. You never know. And, of course, movies you can still go see. Select theaters near you. Maybe. The Holdovers, A Journey to Bethlehem, Tiger 3, Radical, and Paw Patrol, The Mighty Movie. Heading over to the IMDb Pros top trending segment. The top trending movie is The Marvels. The top trending show is the anime show Attack on Titan. And the top trending star is Aria Maya Liberty. So that is all very exciting. We're happy to see Attack on Titan in the top trending shows because Rob McCollum, we had a interview with him. So be sure to check that out. Man, oh man, what a great week. And of course, we have guests back next week for Thanksgiving. We're thankful to have a guest back. And that's so nice to say.
Yes.
Thank you guys so much for getting crazy with us on episode 242 of Inside the Crazy Ant Farm. Be sure to follow us everywhere. The company is at Crazy Ant Media. The podcast is at ITCAFpodcast. And the Mental Health Podcast is at Everything's OKP on social media. And you guys know you can follow us both on social media. Myself at Logan Austin and
at Crazy Ant CEO.
That's right, buddy. That's right. And you guys know you can subscribe to this podcast anywhere you listen to your podcast: Anchor, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play Music, iHeartRadio, Podbean, Stitcher, and so much more. And if you're watching this video on YouTube, we appreciate it. Be sure to hit that like button. button on the video, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell for all the latest and greatest notifications coming out of Crazy Ant Media. And who knows, if you didn't like the Marvels, join the crowd and join them in our comment section. Might as well. You'll find a family there. Be sure to visit our website as well, www.crazyantmedia.com, so you can start rocking the latest and greatest Crazy Ant Media gear. Get your Thanksgiving gear while you can, and be sure to stay tuned for our Christmas gear. Man, oh man, what a show, man. What a show.
What a show. I love everything about this show. All of the Marvel news, all of the shows coming back. Just, good news with Iger.
Right.
I feel like it's always been bad about Iger the past few months. So it's like good news about Iger, which made me happy. Everything about this show. The reliving my 80s through your top 5. And,
yeah.
Just it's hard to argue a show where balloons and thumbs up are abundant. It's just crazy.
Yeah, man. That's for sure. But everybody, be sure to go on Christmas Day to The Color Purple.
Yes.
And freaking musical adaptation. We're super excited about it. That was produced and starring the one, the only
Oprah.